Mr. Secretary, many believed you were underqualified for this role. You've been Secretary for 4.5 months now. For the sake of the American people and our service members, I hope you've done your homework since. Let's talk Indo-PACOM. What year has the Navy publicly set as the benchmark for being ready to fight a war with China?
Well, it needs to be right now. We know what China has said.
I'm glad to hear that, but there is a publicly
right
set date.
Well, we know it wouldn't be
Let me help you
prudent
out.
for me in this environment to
2027.
reveal when we think we're ready. That's what China has said, and we understand what they're
Secretary,
saying.
I
And
asked
we want to
for
be
a year.
capable and ready for it.
Not a filibuster. 2027 is the year. According to unclassified DoD assessments, how many warships does China have in its Navy today?
Many and growing.
370. It's the largest Navy in the world. How many does the U.S. Navy have today?
Thanks to this budget, it's increasing
It's a number. I'm looking for a number.
but it's just south of 300.
296, pretty close. How many ships is China expected to field by 2030?
I believe that's a classified number, but it's going to go up
DoD
at a rapid rate.
CMPR report that was released. There's an unclassified number.
It's going up at a rapid rate.
Let me help you out. 435. Let's see if we do better in EUCOM. What corridor in eastern Poland is vulnerable and a priority for U.S. reinforcements? It connects Belarus to a Russian region.
I'm sure you can tell me.
I can tell you. It's the Suwalki Gap. Which heavily militarized Russian territory connected the Suwalki Gap? It contains nuclear-capable missiles. It threatens all of NATO. It's right there in the middle of Eastern Europe.
I see we're playing a quiz game here.
It's
Ultimately,
Kaliningrad
thankfully,
Oblast.
we're getting
Let me-
our NATO allies to step up in their spending to make sure that they can hold the
Mr.
line.
Secretary, I asked you a specific question. Thank you. It's Kaliningrad Oblast. So what percentage of Ukrainian frontline casualties, let's talk drones, are now caused by FPV drones?
A very large percentage, and we're studying that conflict closely to understand
I hope so.
that fact.
It's over 70%. And which U.S. service has written doctrine or standardized procurement for integration of FPV drones?
That's the Army.
I wish that were the case, but actually the answer is none of them. So we're not prepared yet, and we need to get there fast. Let me turn to a different topic. A few weeks ago, when my office opened up in Fredericksburg, I spoke to the mother of one F-18 pilot who flew the March 15th mission over the Red Sea in Yemen that you discussed over Signal. I spoke to her again on Tuesday and asked her if there was anything she wanted me to bring up. She believes that you need to resign. She also had several questions, but one thing, she said she would appreciate an apology for putting classified information. Her son couldn't even tell her where the Truman was going, but into the Houthi PC small group Signal chat that risked her son's life and the mission. Mr. Secretary, yes or no, do you think you owe her an apology?
Please make sure to let her know how grateful we are for the skill and heroism of her.
I am very much grateful. I'm sure everybody in this room is grateful. I'm proud of what her son has done. The question is, do you owe her an apology for your actions? Are you going to be accountable?
It was an incredibly successful mission. Her son did great work.
They did a magnificent
and
job.
Thankfully, the Houthi campaign was successful.
Secretary, I agree with you. Magnificent job. The performance of those pilots and Navy personnel, magnificent. We're talking about what you did and accountability. Are you going to apologize to the mother or not?
I don't apologize for success.
You don't apologize for putting her son's life in danger and for putting the mission in jeopardy. Well, that's really disappointing and not befitting the type of leadership that our troops and families deserve. It's frankly a stunning lack of OPSEC. Privates are trained to do much better than that. It was reckless.
A mother sends her son off to fly combat missions over the Red Sea. She accepts the danger from the enemy, but what she cannot accept is that his own Secretary of Defense may have put his life at risk by carelessly leaking classified information. When she asked for something simple, human, and decent, an apology, she was told, "I don't apologize for success." Think about that. Think about what played out here. Representative Vindman walked the Secretary through the cold, hard facts. China's Navy is outpacing ours. NATO vulnerabilities are glaring. Our military still hasn't standardized FPV drone integration. even as they devastate Ukrainian forces. Each question peeled back another layer of how unprepared or unwilling leadership seems when it comes to facing reality. And in that moment, Vindman wasn't just exposing gaps in strategy, he was exposing gaps in honesty. Because at the end of the day, this wasn't about numbers, dates, or doctrine. It became about something far more human. A mother's fear for her son's life. Imagine her position. Her son straps into a fighter jet, flies missions over the Red Sea in hostile skies, knowing every takeoff could be his last. She accepts that risk because that's what military families do. But what she cannot accept is her son's life being in danger, not by the enemy, but by recklessness in Washington. She cannot accept classified information being handled so carelessly that it could jeopardize the very missions he risks his life to carry out. And when she asks for accountability, when she asks for something as basic, as human, as an apology, she is met with arrogance. I don't apologize for success. That was the secretary's response. But let's be clear, this wasn't a success. The mission's outcome may have been successful, thanks to the incredible courage and skill of American pilots and sailors. But that doesn't erase the recklessness that put them in danger. That doesn't undo the betrayal of trust. Success on the battlefield doesn't excuse failure in leadership, and this is where the deeper lesson lies. Leadership isn't measured only in wins and losses. It's measured in trust, it's measured in humility, it's measured in the ability to own mistakes, especially when lives are on the line. Every enlisted soldier is taught that operational security is non-negotiable. Privates are drilled, day after day, to never compromise classified information. So how is it acceptable for the Secretary of Defense, the very person entrusted with safeguarding the entire military, to fall below the standard expected of the lowest-ranking private? That mother's demand for accountability isn't just about her son. It's about every military family who sacrifices in silence, trusting that their leaders will honor their courage with responsibility. If that trust is broken at the very top, then the entire system begins to crack. And when the secretary shrugs off accountability, it sends a dangerous message that some people in power believe they are too important to be held to the same rules as the men and women they command. That is why Vindman's call for resignation hit so hard, because at its core, this wasn't political theater. It was a reminder that our democracy, our military, our very sense of justice depends on leaders who understand that accountability is not optional. You cannot hide behind success when you've risked lives. You cannot dismiss a mother's plea for responsibility as if it were a nuisance. Leadership is not about pride. It is about service. And that is why this moment should matter to every American, not just military families. Because when accountability arose in one place, it arose everywhere. If the people we trust with our national security are allowed to dodge responsibility, what does that say about the state of our institutions? What does that say to the next generation, who may one day raise their hand and swear to serve? So here's the question I leave with you. If the mothers and fathers of service members are telling us they've lost trust in this leadership, how long can he remain in that position before the moral cost outweighs the political calculation? And I want you to reflect on that. Because accountability doesn't happen on its own. It happens when people like us demand it. It happens when we refuse to let arrogance replace humility or pride replace responsibility. So, if you believe military families deserve leaders worthy of their sacrifice, don't just watch this and move on. Add your voice in the comments. Share this so others can see the truth behind the headlines, and subscribe. Because together, we're going to keep shining a light on power when it fails the very people it's meant to protect. Because at the end of the day, democracy only survives when leaders are held accountable and when we refuse to look away.